Definitely it's grown from when I first started. The level of coaching has certainly improved, and the level of competition has improved. We've gone to 4 competition classifications based on population, 4A right down to the small schools under 125 students, or the A category. So we've expanded that. We've gone to JV competition, volleyball and basketball. And just overall, the high school hockey started in about 15, 18 years ago. High school football has expanded tremendously in the last 7, 8 years, where there's 32 teams competing there now. So high school sports is continually growing. The product is improving, better coaching, and just kids, even though there's so much more for kids to do, we still have huge numbers participating, over 25,000 participants in high school athletic programs throughout the province. So pretty decent numbers, and the competition is really impressive. A couple of things. I mentioned that participation is really good, but we're also being challenged by what we call the Xbox generation, where there's so many more things for kids to do, whether it's computers or Facebook or playing video games on their tablets and smartphones. So you're competing. The commitment level isn't there as it was years ago. So you're always trying to keep the kids engaged and keep them involved in your practices. Even coaching, the newer breed of coach isn't necessarily as committed as the other coaches. And again, with them, you get a younger population, there's more things to do. And funding is a challenge as well. There's more, funding from government, funding from school divisions, and all aspects of it. So there's those challenges where you're spending a lot of time on fundraising and things along that line. But in spite of it, we're still able to, put some great programs, great provincial championships, and great leagues out there. But it's becoming more and more of a challenge every year, without a doubt. We're a member of Sport Manitoba, and Sport Manitoba is really a funding agency. So we apply for them for funds, and they get lottery dollars from the government of Manitoba, and they're responsible for having different programs such as Manitoba Games, Canada Games, funding provincial sport organizations, and coaching Manitoba, and so on. So we're one of the recipients of monies from Sport Manitoba. They probably get about 18% of our budget comes from Sport Manitoba. And we're part of the Sport Manitoba building, and we have a good relationship. We collaborate on various initiatives, and but they're a funding agency, basically. Well, we're coming up with a new website that'll be introduced to the public in September of 2013. But a lot of it is going to be socially driven, social media driven, because that's what kids are. Even emails isn't as big as Twitter is, or Facebook and things like that. So a lot of what we're going to do is going to be via that. The website is going to have a lot of schedules and results, and hopefully going to be a real destination for those individuals looking for information on high school athletics. Very user-friendly and easy to navigate, and just a lot of good content. There'll be tips for coaches, tips for athletes on nutrition, sportsmanship, leadership, things along that line. Our biggest thing that people look at weekly is our top 10 rankings. And those will be posted on the website, but also go out through social media as well, through Twitter and other aspects of social media. So we really want to be, I guess, engaged is the word, with all of our participants and fans of high school sports. So we're hoping, with this, it's a total revamp of the site. The site is a good site. We're averaging 9 million hits a year, so a lot of traffic. But it's a tired site, and so it's time to refresh it. It's 15 years old, so it's time to clean it up and modernize it a little bit. So we're very excited about that. Yeah, the Athlete of the Week is a great program, and basically recognize the outstanding achievements of rural and urban athletes. And sometimes it puts an athlete on the radar for university coaches or other people, but certainly, if nothing else, gives them that recognition and that feeling of accomplishment. And I think that's important for any young person. recognition. You can't give anybody enough recognition. So with that, through social media, Twitter will go out and saying, this week's athlete of the week is so-and-so, and click here for more details, that type of a thing. So I think it will certainly give the individual who's recognized a lot more visibility, and I think just enhance the whole program. When I'm hoping anyways that we get lots and lots of followers to Twitter, and people will be very interested in that. So again, that's a way that social media will help promote high school athletics. Boy, that's a tough one. There's a lot of just excellent experiences. I'd have to say when you run into an athlete 10, 15 years down the road and they recognize you or you recognize them. I remember years ago we were looking at buying some new computer products, and went to this one company, and they were bidding and on it, and then the salesperson gave me his name, and I said, "You're not XY, I won't mention the school, but didn't you go to such and such a school? Weren't you athlete of the year?" And this was probably a early 30s individual, and his face just turned blank, and he was just so excited that I remembered his name and all that, and all of a sudden the deal changed as well. We got a heck of a better deal on our computers as well, but he was just so excited that I remembered him, 10, 12 years after he graduated. But I think things like that, when 5, 6 years ago, my dad was in the hospital, and I'm walking down the corridor, and a nurse stopped me and said, "Hey, I remember you from MHSAA, you gave me an award once." And just things like that. And when they recognize you or you recognize them, or you see some achievements, success that they've had, whether it's going on in sports to the university or national team, or just success as a doctor or a lawyer. I think those are the things that really excite me, because part of what we want to do is we want to develop good athletes, but good citizens. We have a saying, high school athletics, the other half of education. And we firmly believe that it's it's the biggest classroom outside of the physical school. And we're teaching kids how to be better people and better citizens. So those are the kinds of things that I thrive on, when we could see the good things. You don't hear about the good things very often. You hear about the bad things kids do, but you don't hear about the good things enough. So those are things that I enjoy. Certainly some of the great crowds we've had at some of our championships and great games, they're fantastic. We were cross country up in northern Manitoba, and I was kind of marshalling, and all of a sudden this big moose is behind me and scared the kijijis out of me. So those are certainly memories as well. But just overall, just the kids, and great coaches and friendships that you make. Probably another one is when I start seeing the kids of coaches, like when I started, now their kids are playing and doing well. That's kind of special when a friend of mine's son or daughter is playing. Those are kind of neat as well. So variety of different emotions and exciting things that happen through it.